Hi there, and thanks very much for joining me. I'm Dean. This is Woodwork Journey, and yes, it is woodwork. And today I'm going to be showing you this. Now, before you get all excited and leave, please just hear me out on this one, because I've got a bunch of examples to show you, and I have been testing this harder and longer than I've tested most things, and I test most things pretty well. So let me show you what I've made with this. But I think I can put an argument forward to having a 3D printer, particularly one like this, in the workshop. Okay, so hear me out, stick with me, and then I look forward to seeing your comments at the end. As you can see right here, I have a myriad of things, and I do want to show you just a few of these because I think it sort of shows some of the options that you've got. But these are just a fraction of the things that I've printed over the last couple of months since I've had my BambuLab P1S. And this sort of, I'm hoping, is going to show that I'm not just saying stuff for the sake of saying it. I have tested the heck out of this machine. So let me show you a few of these up close. So here are a few of the items that I'm talking about. So first off, let's have a little look at, these are a couple of squares that I just found on the internet and thought I'd print out, and they came out really, really well. Surprisingly accurate as well. Not heavy duty, but certainly good enough. We've got something like this, which is a corner radius doohickey for your router. And this, you just undo that, take that one out, and then we've got a bunch of other sizes right down there that we can use as well, which is fantastic. We've got things like zero clearance plates. That was done for the kitty bandsaw, and saves me having to make one out of wood. You've got something like this compass, which fantastic. These actually allow you to make a really wide circle, and they're a really accurate, solid compass. Again, just a great little tool. We've got things like, we've got various measurement stuff. We've got a throat plate for my Evolution saw that I've been working on a design for. We've got drill holders, all this sort of stuff, which sorry, not drill holders. This will allow you to, or give you some help when it comes to drilling straight down. So you choose whichever size you want. That goes in the middle there, and then that sits on top of your workpiece, and that gives you a straight vertical hole rather than using a pillar drill. We've got silly things like these sort of things, which just, I mean, it's daft, but it's I don't know what to say about that, but it shows how well things print and how smooth all of this sort of stuff all works, which is bonkers. But also practical things such as this. This is a vase that I made for Vicky, and this is again just another design that I found online. But look for layer lines and stuff. Look how clean it is. Look how clean that bad boy is. This is another one. This is a wall hanging one. And if you weren't kind of aware that that was 3D printed, I think apart from a couple of, well, this is actually a separate bottom piece. This piece unscrews. But I think there's a bunch of things like this that you wouldn't realise are 3D printed without knowing it, you know, because zero layer lines, and it just looks perfect. Things like that. We've got this little planter thing with a couple of dead cacti in it. Again, these are all things that I haven't had to design. They're all stuff that are basically just a one-click kind of affair. This is nuts as well. This is like one of the first things that I printed just to see what it looked like, and it just looks like it's a cushion, but it's hard as you like. It's just absolutely bonkers. But we've got everything like from house numbers. I printed those off the other day and just stuck them on a piece of wood, put some poly over the top of it, and jobs are good. And we've got a router sled. We've got all sorts of things. Now then, from a practical point of view, in our bathroom, we've got one of these sinks that's on top of the work surface, and it meant that our trusty old kind of soap pump thing was too low. So I got onto Fusion 360, quickly made this. Luckily it's in two pieces, so if you drop it, it's not the end of the world. But it's hollow on the inside, so I don't use up too much filament. And you can see these pegs that I've got there. They feature at the bottom of the hole, so you find the right way round. And then I did this just in case my measurements were wrong when it came to getting the... there you go, there it goes. My measurements were wrong when it came to getting the top piece on. And then I could only just print off the top piece if I wanted to, and away you go. But that then is a nice kind of way of holding that or having that supported, and I didn't have to make that out of wood. But yeah, everything from, you know, it's another vase there, all sorts of nonsense. But also as far down as getting things like this. These are some earrings that that I printed for the wife. That sort of stuff. We've got some delicate little earrings like these. Oh, focus. And the spider sort of moves around. And we've got a whole myriad of earrings all along here as well. And just all of this stuff, even these badges. Go on, focus up. There you go. Loads of stuff like that. It's nuts what you can make. These wheels were prototypes that obviously I designed for the bandsaw, and in the bandsaw is the kind of the final one that I've got with up to this point. We've got a fence here, that's all fully 3D printed. We've got a workshop sign there, that's 3D printed as well. Just a huge amount of stuff. I even printed a couple of these bad boys the other day, literally 2 days ago, because now I've got these Works pin nailer. I wanted something I could put on the wall to hold the batteries, and that does that perfectly. Found the model, printed it off, no worries. And that took like 20 minutes or something daft to print. And it's just... I'd have to go out and buy that otherwise. And yes, that's not very much money, but if you spend a couple of quid on this and a couple of quid on that and a couple of quid on that, then before you know it, you've spent a crap ton of money. And yeah, a lot of the things might not even work out for you. So I didn't want to go on too long for that, and I hope you understand why I wanted to show you those things, because there's a lot of stuff that just, it fixes a need, whether it's a tool or whether it's a vase for the wife or some earrings or, you know, something daft or something really useful. It can be thrown together and made really, really quickly. Now, there are a whole bunch of models that you can use already, which is what I've done, and I'll come to that in a minute. But first of all, I just want to say that it's from this. This is a BambuLab's P1S, and it is without a doubt the easiest 3D printer I have ever used. Now, I did a review for a 3D printer a little while ago, and that was the easiest I'd used up until that point. But this is even easier than that. Literally, anybody can use one of these, and the reason is everything is automatic. I took it out of the box, put it together, and then when I say put it together, it's just like a few bits and bobs here and there, and straight away I was able to get printing, like immediately, and it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and the quality on it, as you've just seen, is really, really good as well. Now, BambuLab often do deals and all that sort of stuff, so I'll make sure that I leave some links down below. They did send me this one. I didn't pay for this one, but that's another reason why I wanted to really test the living heck out of it, you know, to make sure that it was as good as people seem to think they are, because they seem to be the bee's knees at the moment. But I'll turn off these pretty lights and I'll bring you in a little bit closer to show you what it's all about. Okay, so as I said, this is the BambuLab P1S, and all the exciting stuff happens right in... Oh, some hinges that I printed off. I printed these off last night while I was sitting on the sofa and forgot all about it. But yeah, you can print those in place, and there you go. I've got some nice workable hinges there for a job that I'm planning. But yeah, what I wanted was a 3D printer that was fully enclosed, and you can see that that's exactly what this is. And that's because in the workshop you don't want dust and all that sort of stuff going on your build plate. Now, your build plate is this section in here, and that is essentially what everything sticks to when it's all going together. You can then take it out to give it a bit of a flex, and that helps you get stuff off and all this sort of nonsense. But yeah, that's essentially what the build plate is. You can get different types of build plates for a whole bunch of different things. However, What is great about this is, unlike other 3D printers that I've had, is rather than the bed moving back and forth, which can be quite a jerky movement, and I think they're called bed slingers, which kind of makes sense, but the bed will move back and forth like that. It means that you lose a lot of stability. However, because the bed stays exactly where it is, it just moves up and down, and the print head itself is doing the moving. It means that things, as you saw, like these hinges, can print vertically, and they'll do a grand job because it's generally a lot more of a stable machine. As far as upkeep of it goes, again, super easy. But yeah, as far as it goes, it's the 3D printer. Without getting too technical, the 3D printing stuff is in there, and that door, and you can access it from the top and all over the place, is what does the business. Now, right up the top here, we've got what's called the AMS, and what this means is this allows me to do multicolor printing by having different spools of filament in there. Now, you don't need the AMS. I think it's very useful because you can put multiples of the same type of spool up there if you want to, and that means that if you ever run out of a spool, rather than it stopping your print, it will automatically skip on to the next one, which is fabulous. It won't skip on to the next one if it is a different type, different color, and all that sort of stuff. It has to be exactly the same. But yeah, that's the AMS, and that's what feeds a lot of the, or feeds all of the filament into this particular printer. You can use external spools if you want to. Now, I'm using BambuLab Filament because I've really found it to be great at printing quickly and having a really good finish, but you can use pretty much any stuff you want as long as they're not cardboard spools in the AMS. But if you use an external spool, then yeah, you can use whatever you like. So what do I mean when I say spools? Well, I've got one in this little drying thing at the moment, and this is what the filament comes on. So it's a roll of filament, 1.75 millimeters wide, and this is what goes through the machine. The hot end in there will melt it, and then it'll lay a line, and it just line upon line upon line, which is what builds up and builds up to create whatever you're planning on making. And so yeah, it just gives you loads and loads of options, even doing things like printing hinges in place. So you can, like I say, you can see there on the brim there, but you can print the hinge in place, and that's what it looks like there, and then you just have to break the supports off it, and there we go. Now we've got a nice workable hinge that hasn't got anything running through it or anything like that. And that doesn't take very long to print either, so it just makes life a lot easier. Right, so I'm just going to show you exactly how easy this is. So I've opened the door. You get a scraper blade in the kit when you buy the printer, and then you print the handle for it, which is a great idea. But I'm just going to scrape off the bottom of the brim of the previous print, which is that one. There's nothing else on there to worry about. Now, every kind of fifth, sixth, seventh print or whatever, I will take this plate off, take it into the house and give it a bit of a wash with some fairy liquid. Otherwise, I just use some isopropyl alcohol, get it on a rag, give it a bit of a clean on there, just like that, and bosh. That's all we have to worry about. That is now ready for printing. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get screen recording my phone, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to print something like those hinges. I may as well print another one of those just for giggles. So you can see, let me turn my brightness up. You can see that everything's straightforward. We go into the Bamboo Handy app at the bottom there. I was searching for table legs earlier on, but let's have a look, and you can see that I've searched for hinges. So I'll click on hinges, and then we'll find out what we want to print. And you can see right there that there's a whole bunch of different hinges that we can print if we want to. Let's look at something like this one. That one, you can see at the bottom there that you need a screw to run through it. We don't want none of that nonsense. So let's just get stable, upright, printable hinge. You can see at the bottom there's a whole bunch of information about it. We've got ratings and what have you as well, so we can choose those. But I'm just going to hit prepare to print. Once we do that, it then gives us at the middle point, it says there's 2 plates. So we're going to choose which plate we're going to use. But at the top, you can see that we've selected P1S because that's our printer. So next, and we're preparing to print, you can see that we've got the standard or we've got the J Strong. Standard and J Strong, 25 minutes or 28 minutes. Let's click a J Strong because the other ones you can see are what I've just printed. And then I will choose the filament that I want to go into it. And I'm going to choose the green again. And what I'm going to do is just click Start Print. Now it's sending the print job across to the printer, and this is where it just takes a little bit of time just to sort itself out and chill for a little bit, because before printing it's going to level the bed, it's going to make sure everything is the right distance away from everything else, it's going to make sure that we're in good shape to get printing, and then it'll start doing the actual job. Now underneath the black screen there you can see there's a little arrow. If we press that, or the little play button, printer's currently busy, that's fine. Wait for it to finish downloading, and then we can print that, press that button, and we can see actually inside the printer. Press that bad boy, and away we go. Any second now, bosh. That's going to give us a little video of what's going on. There's a camera in there. Now, in the more expensive X1C model of this, then there's a whole bunch of clever stuff that goes on with the camera. It makes sure that you don't have any kind of prints that go wrong and all sorts of nonsense. You don't need that for the extra money, but yeah, at the moment it's just going through all of the things that it has to go through in order to figure out what's what. Now, while I've still got this printing or recording on the screen, if I'm on here and I want to click down to printer, you can see at the bottom there that we've got light on and light off as well, so we can see what's happening. The light is okay in there, but it's not the best. But yeah, so now in 28 minutes time, by the end of this video, that will be printed. Obviously it's not going to be 28 minutes for you. While that is printing though, just to show you sort of other stuff, if we go to models in the bottom left there, and if we search, I don't know, MFT, let's search on that one, and we can see that we've got a whole bunch of things like bench dogs and all sorts of nonsense that we can just print out and get to using. If we want to change that and we want to go for a square, bosh, some of that nonsense, and then there we go, speed squares, we've got ultimate metric squares, we've got all sorts of stuff, and so we can choose any of those if we want to get going with any of that sort of stuff. There's other things that I've printed as well which you just wouldn't think about, so I'm just now searching for bearings, and we've got print in place ball bearings. I've printed a couple of these out and they've worked surprisingly well. They really have. There's a little bit of play to them, but for my camera tripod they would have been brilliant, you know, so that sort of stuff is great. There's just so many things that you can do with a 3D printer, and you're literally only limited to your imagination. But if you can't find all of this stuff that you want to print on the BambuLab Maker World website, then there are other websites like Printables and Thingiverse, which I've used for years, and they do wonderful amounts of products. Now, 9 out of 10 times you can find something that's going to do the trick for you in these websites. However, like I said, with the soap dish thingamajig, you can use things like Fusion 360 and products like that. I wish I'd have put better. The printer's making a lot of noise at the minute because it's vibration testing. How good is that? It's testing its own vibrations so it can factor that in while it's printing. So that's why you get a really good finish to it. It's nuts. Anyway, yeah, so for stuff like this, Fusion 360 comes in really, really handy. It does take some working out, and I have used a course, which I will link down below, which I paid for, and it was, I think it's like $90, so it was about 70 quid at the time, and really helped me out. And it's easier than you think, but you do have to do it regularly to make sure that you keep up to to speed on things. So the important thing is, as always, cost. What does it cost to do this sort of stuff? Well, I've just got this up on the phone now, which is the BambuLab website, and I can see that when it comes to the printers, the BambuLab A1 Mini, which is a smaller version of this that's not enclosed, so if you're using it in the house, then that's brilliant, is only £169 at the moment. That's down from £269. As I said, they do plenty of specials. Then you've got the normal size A1, which is £259. We've got the P1P, which is basically like this, but without the sides filled in. Just the frame, that's $399, and then we've got the P1S, which is $489, and that is the same as what I've got there. Now let me just check, is that, what's that with the, I am recording this as well. If you want the combo, which is what I've got, then that is $669, as you can see. That is everything that I've got there. Now, that is a fair sum of money, but like I said, I wanted something that was enclosed and that was going to do exactly what I needed to do, not get covered in dust and sawdust and all that sort of nonsense, and get the insides all gummed up. But if you're going inside, then by all means, something like the A1 Mini is very, very popular. And with something like that, even with the little AMS, which is external, that is £300, $299, and that gets you a 3D printer, albeit not enclosed, and an AMS, which is multi-filament, for, you know, again, not enclosed. So, you know, brilliant. I do have links down below, and I'm sure of that. I can't remember if there's any further money off, but if there is, I'll make sure that they're down there. So I would appreciate it if you do use them. They are affiliate links, and so I don't get to be a millionaire, but they do help the channel out a little bit at no extra cost to you. So Dean, what about things like the filament? Well, as you can see, I will get into the PLA now. PLA, there's all sorts of different filaments that we can use. PLA is kind of the basic one that people know about. We've got PETG, which is the HF, which is for quick printing, CF, which is carbon fiber strengthened, and then we've got the translucent stuff as well, self-explanatory. But there's a whole bunch of different materials that we can use now. But for me, I've been using PLA. I've been using the PLA matte. So I've just clicked on that, and you can see that's $17.99 for a 1 kilo spool, and it comes in all of these different colors. Now, a great thing with these is that when you do get your spools, unlike a lot of other companies, you might see on my screenshot there that you can buy the a type, either a refill, or you can click on that as being the spool. And what that means is this is a spool that you get, but you can just give it a little click and take it apart. This comes out, and you can see here, hopefully, is that going to focus on that? There we go. Those little things that are sticking out there, they're RF tags. I don't think they came out overly well, but there are RF tags, and the AMS actually reads it. So when you put this into your machine, the AMS goes, all right, cool. So they've put in some you know, PLA matte and all that sort of stuff. So all you have to do in the software is make sure that you choose the right stuff, and you're off to the races, and it will come up with all the settings for you. Obviously, everything I've shown you so far has been based on the phone, and that's because that's what I've got out here, and that's the easiest way to do it. Now, if you go in onto a computer, then you can go way more in depth. It's got the Bambu have got their own slicer, which, like most of them, is just a kind of an extension of one of the regulars, but it's very, very good. And if you set it up to allow your particular materials, very, very rarely, excuse me, have I ever had to change the standard setting. The main things that I'll do is change supports from regular supports to tree supports and this, that and the other, but that's something I can go into if you want another. In fact, I might even do another video based on this machine on how to use it. But for me, I think this is absolutely fantastic to have in a workshop, because it means that you can, if you need something, you just print it. You know, if you can find a model off a whole bunch of websites and just print it, whether it's overnight or whether it's, you know, while you're working away, get it printed. And that one kit, I mean, things like a lot of these, I mean, for instance, this kind of thing, 1 kilo, so what's that, 1,000 grams or something like that, something like this that holds the works battery, probably, I don't know, used about 13 grams of filament, which is ridiculous. You know, you just can't get cheaper than that. There was no supports for those 3D printers amongst you as well. There's no supports, and even with that section right there, it just did it all without any worries at all, which is nuts. But yeah, so if you've got any more questions, and I'm pretty sure I am going to be doing some more 3D stuff moving forward, not to become a 3D channel, but show how this can work in line with your woodworking, much like I've designed the throat plate for the Evolution saw and all that sort of stuff. So this is still printing that hinge, but just while it's doing so, you can see right there that you've got a reasonable screen on the machine, and that does show you all of the information that you do need. You've got some fairly straightforward old school kind of ways of controlling that as well, but generally I just use my my phone to control all of that sort of stuff. Now inside here we're printing this hinge as we saw earlier on, and this is how it's going, and that is not looking too shabby to me. That's looking pretty damn sweet. Now if I wanted to, I could record on the internal camera and have this create a time lapse so I can show this to you, but yeah, I just thought you'd be interested to see how it's laying down one line at a time to build the whole thing up and up and up. But yeah, that is where the magic happens, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to carry on talking about stuff because I know I'm waffling, but hopefully you can see the value in something like this now, and if you can, do let me know down below and let me know what you think of it. Thanks very much. Bye bye.